In the evolving landscape of global military aviation, the announcement of new upgrades and expanded production of Russia's Su-57 fighter aircraft has drawn significant international attention. Known in Russia as the Su-57 and designated by NATO as the Felon, this aircraft represents Moscow's effort to field a fifth-generation stealth multi-role fighter capable of competing with Western platforms such as the American F-22 and F-35. Reports that Russia is moving toward expanded serial production of upgraded variants come at a time of heightened geopolitical tension and ongoing military modernization across multiple regions. For analysts and policymakers alike, the significance of this development lies not only in the aircraft itself, but in what it reveals about shifting defense priorities and long-term strategic competition. The Su-57 program has experienced a long and complex development history. Originating in the early 2000s as part of Russia's PAK FA program, the aircraft was designed to replace aging Soviet-era platforms and restore technological parity in advanced combat aviation. Early prototypes conducted test flights more than a decade ago, but the transition from prototype to sustained production proved challenging. Budget constraints, technical hurdles, and evolving operational requirements slowed initial timelines. In recent years, however, Russian officials have emphasized renewed momentum, highlighting upgraded avionics, improved engines, and enhanced weapons integration as part of a broader modernization push. From a technical perspective, the Su-57 is intended to combine stealth characteristics, supermaneuverability, advanced sensors, and network-centric warfare capabilities. Publicly available information suggests that its design incorporates radar-absorbing materials, internal weapons bays, and advanced electronic warfare systems. Russia has also spoken about introducing a new generation engine, sometimes referred to as the Product 30, intended to improve thrust, fuel efficiency, and overall performance compared to earlier power plants. While independent verification of all specifications is limited, the broader objective appears clear: to enhance survivability and lethality in contested airspace environments. The announcement of expanded mass production raises important strategic questions. What does increased output signal about Russia's defense priorities? In the context of ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe and strained relations with NATO countries, investing in advanced air power suggests a focus on long-term capability rather than short-term battlefield adjustments alone. Modern fighter aircraft are not merely tactical tools, they are symbols of technological status and instruments of strategic deterrence. Expanding production can serve both operational and political functions, signaling resilience in the face of sanctions and external pressure. At the regional level, the deployment of upgraded Su-57 units could influence air power balances in areas such as Eastern Europe, the Arctic, and parts of Asia. Neighboring states monitor these developments closely, particularly those within range of Russian air bases. While the number of operational aircraft remains relatively limited compared to Western fifth-generation fleets, incremental increases can still shape defense planning. For example, air defense systems may need adjustments to track and counter stealth-capable aircraft. Training exercises and procurement decisions in surrounding countries may reflect these evolving threat assessments. Beyond Europe, the Su-57 also has potential export implications. Russia has historically relied on arms exports as both an economic resource and a tool of diplomatic influence. If production expands and performance proves credible, interest from foreign buyers could emerge, particularly among states seeking alternatives to Western suppliers. However, export prospects depend on multiple variables, including cost, maintenance infrastructure, sanctions regimes, and geopolitical alignment. Would countries facing restricted access to Western technology view the Su-57 as a viable alternative, or would operational uncertainties limit demand? Another dimension involves technological competition among major powers. The United States continues to expand its fleet of F-35 aircraft while investing in sixth-generation concepts under programs such as Next-Generation Air Dominance. China, meanwhile, fields its own fifth-generation platforms, including the J-20. In this context, Russia's push to upgrade and mass-produce the Su-57 can be interpreted as part of a broader race to maintain relevance in advanced air combat. The question is not only how many aircraft are produced, but how effectively they integrate with command and control networks, satellite systems, drones, and precision-guided munitions. Operational lessons may also shape the aircraft's evolution. Analysts often observe that modern conflicts provide real-world data that influence design refinements. If Russia has deployed limited numbers of Su-57 aircraft in active theaters for testing or demonstration purposes, feedback from those missions could inform upgrades. Such adjustments might involve sensor calibration, software updates, or weapons compatibility improvements. However, it is important to distinguish between confirmed deployments and speculative claims, as reliable information can be limited in conflict environments. Economic sustainability represents another key consideration. Advanced fighter production requires high-precision manufacturing, specialized materials, and complex supply chains. Sanctions targeting defense industries can affect access to certain components, particularly microelectronics. If Russia is able to maintain or even increase production rates under these conditions, it suggests a degree of industrial adaptation. Conversely, if production numbers remain modest, the strategic impact may be more symbolic than transformative. Observers therefore look not only at official announcements but also at delivery timelines and independent assessments. The broader implications for international security depend on how other states interpret and respond to this development. Increased Russian air power capability may encourage neighboring countries to accelerate their own modernization programs. This dynamic can contribute to regional arms competition, even if no side actively seeks confrontation. On the other hand, some analysts argue that credible deterrence, when balanced, can stabilize strategic relationships by reducing incentives for miscalculation. Which outcome prevails often depends on transparency, communication channels, and the overall political climate. Air power also intersects with maritime security and strategic mobility. Advanced fighters extend a state's ability to project influence over airspace near key sea lanes, energy corridors, and border regions. In areas such as the Black Sea or the Arctic, where economic and military interests overlap, upgraded aircraft can enhance surveillance and rapid response capabilities. How might this influence NATO planning or Arctic governance discussions? Could enhanced air capabilities reshape the way regional disputes are managed diplomatically? At a technological level, the Su-57 upgrade narrative reflects a broader global trend toward integrated, multi-domain warfare. Modern aircraft are increasingly expected to function not as isolated platforms but as nodes within a larger information network. Data sharing with drones, ground systems, and space-based assets is becoming central to operational effectiveness. If Russia succeeds in integrating the Su-57 into such a networked framework, the qualitative impact could exceed what raw production numbers alone suggest. Yet integration requires secure communications, reliable software, and sustained training, factors that extend beyond the aircraft itself. In the current geopolitical environment, perception plays a powerful role. Announcements of mass production can influence domestic audiences, reassure allies, and signal determination to competitors. However, perception must ultimately align with demonstrable capability to sustain credibility. Analysts therefore watch for indicators such as pilot training rates, maintenance capacity, and deployment patterns. These elements often reveal more about long-term effectiveness than public statements alone. As we step back, it becomes clear that the Su-57 upgrade and expanded production represent more than a single procurement decision. They reflect strategic calculation in an era defined by technological competition, sanctions pressure, and evolving military doctrine. For Russia, the program embodies both ambition and adaptation. For other states, it presents a variable in an already complex security equation. In conclusion, understanding the significance of Russia's Su-57 modernization requires a balanced and fact-based perspective. The aircraft's technical features, production trajectory, and strategic context all matter, but none exist in isolation. Air power developments interact with diplomacy, economics, and regional security structures. Rather than viewing this announcement through a lens of alarm or celebration, it is more productive to analyze it as part of an ongoing global transformation in military technology. By examining open-source data, credible reporting, and long-term trends, observers can better appreciate how advanced fighter programs influence international stability. The future impact of the Su-57 will depend not only on how many are built, but on how they are integrated into a broader strategic framework that continues to evolve.